Hey, in this video, I'm going to explain common adjustments to EBITDA when you're trying to calculate seller's discretionary earnings, or SDE, for a business. So that's kind of a mouthful. What does that mean? Why is it used? What are adjustments? So typically, if you are looking to sell a business, or maybe you're looking to buy a business, you need to calculate the seller's discretionary earnings. And this is often what is used for small businesses to help determine the value of the business. So they'll take the seller's discretionary earnings and apply some multiple to that to come up with a valuation. Now, you might think that the earnings of a small business would just be the profit or the net income from the income statement. But actually, that's not quite the case. And often the net income is often quite different than what the seller's discretionary earnings is. And so we need to be able to understand what adjustments are and what they should be for calculating SDE. So with that, I have pulled up our SDE calculator tool that I'm going to use to demonstrate what typical adjustments might look like. We have entered in some example revenue and expense data. And I should mention, I'm going to put this free calculator, a link to this free calculator, in the description of the video below. So you'll be able to go down there and download that tool. And while you're down there, you may notice a couple other links. We help people create financial projections, typically for a startup or maybe for an acquisition. And so one of the things that we often run into is helping people with determining whether a deal looks good, a business they're looking to acquire, whether that deal looks good. And we do that through our quality of earnings Sniff test report, and where we're kind of analyzing the earnings of a seller and then providing some feedback on that. So we're going to put a link to both our acquisition projection template and our quality of earnings Sniff test service down there in the description as well. So you could take a look at those when you grab this template. Okay, so with that, what we're going to do here is you're going to see some default data. And then we see our net income, our earnings here. But then we have a section for adjustments. And so I've kind of pre-populated this with some examples. So typical adjustments are non-recurring items, non-operational items, unusual or one-time events, or accounting policy adjustments. And there's some more detail in these little kind of instructions in the template right here. But I'm just going to give you an example of each one of these four and show you how it impacts the seller's discretionary earnings. So an example for a non-recurring item could be a lawsuit. So let's say you had a lawsuit. Maybe you won the lawsuit, but you still had to defend and pay for defense for the lawsuit. And so that cost, let's say that cost $35,000, and the hope is that doesn't happen again. And so that's a non-recurring item. And so we're gonna put a positive $35,000 in there because we're assuming that $35,000 was paid somewhere within these expenses here, and we need to add that back. Now, the next item could be non-operational items. An example of that could be investment income. So let's say you had some excess savings and you put it in maybe a CD and you earned interest income, or maybe even put it in the S&P 500 and earned some investment income or some dividends. And maybe that's not common. You're not going to continue to invest the working capital of the business. And so in that case, we actually need to put a negative amount. So you're saying we earned $20,000 in investment income. We don't expect that to happen on an ongoing basis. It's not really related to the operations of the business. And so we're going to put a negative $20,000 in there. Unusual or one-time events. We could have a bad storm and you had to do repairs for storm damage. So let's say we had a $25,000 repair. Again, hopefully it's not related to operations. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. It's kind of this one-time adjustment to earnings. And then accounting policy and adjustments. This is probably something if you're going to make adjustments here, you'd probably want to talk to your CPA. But this is things related to aggressive or conservative accounting practices that may have skewed the earnings. So things like revenue recognition, certain depreciation, or inventory valuation methods that different accountants could have different opinions on. And so you'll want to talk to your CPA about that. But that brings us our total adjustments. And these are going to either be added or subtracted from earnings in addition to add backs. So there's also add backs like owner's compensation, personal expenses, non-cash expenses, and one-time exceptional costs. All of those are going to be added back into the model. and then we come up with this adjusted seller's discretionary earnings right here. So we can see that then the 3-year average SDE here is what we use to apply an earnings multiple and come up with an adjusted valuation. So that's why adjustments are really important. I hope that's been helpful to you. If you have any questions about specific adjustments, feel free to reach out to us at support@projectionhub.com. We'd be happy to try to help. Thanks.